That's gonna be the weirdest video ever. So this is recorded in some sort of it's a parkour gym. Used to be full of life and full of dreams, but now it's been torn down because of the crisis of coronavirus. The owner couldn't keep the rent. That's where I've been living for the past month and a half. So I'm from France, as you can tell from my accent. I'm trying to go back to France. It's been a month now, and all my flights are being cancelled. Hopefully I'm going back in 2 days. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Aerith, Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I don't see any video talking about that, so I'm gonna make my own assumption and theory about it. But basically, there is a secret cutscene, if you haven't seen it, in Final Fantasy VII Remake, where Cloud sees Aerith, although Aerith at this moment is supposed to be locked down in the Shinra headquarters, right? But Cloud goes outside, he's being woken up by someone walking, and he sees her. There's 3 cutscenes. You can see Barrett, you can see Tifa, or you can see Aerith. And for those who don't really, I didn't understand really the story of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's not the same story. I mean, spoiler alert. I mean, it's too late, but spoiler alert. Final Fantasy Remake is not the same story as Final Fantasy VII. All right. A couple of reasons for that is because it seems like in the original Final Fantasy VII, at the end of the day, the world is decimated. We see the planets being 500 years later, there's no more human, everything is covered in grass. It seems like Red 13, Nanaki is the only guy who's still alive. But yeah, long story short, it seems like the Aerith we see in Final Fantasy VII Remake is Aerith from the future, who sort of traveled back through the corridors of time or through the live stream, and were able to just come back and change the course of the game. That's why we see the whispers, the weird black things. And every time the story kind of deviates from the real story, they are here. They prevent Barrett from dying. A couple of things like that, where every time the characters seem to try to want to change the future, something happened. That's why at the end of the game, we are fighting this big monster, which is kind of like Destiny, which is like the guardian of what should happen. And basically that big monster, once we destroy it, we open a path to a potential new future. That's why we see a cutscene where Zack is alive, because it's possible, if we've destroyed the future, we might be able to go back in time, we might be able to save Zack, because we changed the future, maybe we changed the past, whatever. But there's this beautiful cutscene. I mean, I'm gonna play it right now if you haven't seen it. But there is this beautiful cutscene where Clouds goes outside of Aerith's house. He sees her and he's like, "Oh, you're here? Like, what the fuck? And is it a dream?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's a dream." And he talks to her, and she says a couple of things that to me shows that she's from the future. Because that Aerith that he sees, Cloud at this moment is not delusional. Because we see in other cutscenes that he really sees the person, whether it's Tifa, whether it's Barrett, he really sees them. This is a bit like tilted. But he sees Barrett, he sees Tifa, so Aerith, he sees her for real. But he sees some kind of representation of the future Aerith. And she says, "I'm really happy to have met you. I really am." I mean, I'm gonna just play it because... And it's just a very, very touching scene, to be honest. So there we go.
How is this?
How is this possible? Is this a dream?
Is this a dream?
Is this a dream?
Maybe. You tell me.
So she's always kind of, every time she talks in the remake, she's
okay?
kind of evasive, like
Don't
she
I look
doesn't
it?
really... She's always like, "Oh, maybe, I don't know, ooh, what's
I
up?"
used to live in the Shinra building, back when I was really little.
Your mom told us.
Right. So it kind of feels like I've gone back to my childhood home.
They're just chatting,
You know?
like, "Oh yeah,
Honestly,
whatever.
it's not that bad.
It's not that bad, all good, don't worry."
So what? You want to stay?
Come on, Cloud. Don't be silly.
So the way she talks right now, it's really similar to that the way she talks at the end of Advent Children. At the end of the Advent Children, she's talking to Cloud a little bit like her mother. So it seems like this Aerith and the Aerith we see in Final Fantasy Remake, they are not really the same. So it seems like Aerith in Final Fantasy Remake, not this projection of Aerith, seems kind of she kind of know that she's from the future, but little by little she forgets she's from the future. That's why she says every time the whisper touch me, I'm losing part of myself. That's because she slowly forget why she's here. She knows subconsciously why she's here, but she kind of forgets it.
Your mom's really worried too.
Mom's really worried, whatever.
Too? So you're worried about
So
me?
she's kind of like, oh, you're worried about me, haha, you're in love with me. And here you see, right now she's like, she looks sad, like, he says, of course I'm worried about you, and she's like, you shouldn't be worried about me, like, I shouldn't be your priority. That's basically what she's...
I'm sorry about that.
Sorry about that, really.
Really?
That's like, it's like when you're in love with a girl and you tell her, oh, I'm in love with you, and she's like, oh, sorry, I mean... And you put her in a weird position because she's like, no, I'm not into you, no problem. And she loved Zack with all her heart. Like, obviously, she was very much in love with Zack. When she sees Cloud, she sees some kind of representation of Zack, but it's not Zack, it's just some sort of a... it's not him. It's just, it looks like him, it feels like him, but it's not him. And she knows that.
Is that?
So it seems like what we're seeing here is the essence of the people who just died from the collapse of Sector 7. So she's kind of praying, for it.
Everyone dies eventually.
That position, exactly the same as the intro position from Final Fantasy VII Original, from Final Fantasy VII Remake Intro. So it seems like every time she's in that position, she's kind of in this omniscient, almost like she knows everything. It's the same position that she's in when she's dying. Spoiler alert, she's gonna die. Maybe not in this new format. So, I don't know, there's something about that position that makes it so that she's some sort of a... Every time she's in that position right here, it feels like she's connected to all of herself in other times.
I suppose.
So we need to make the most of the time we have. To live our lives the way we want to live.
Yeah, some sort of how philosophical,
Every
like
minute,
the word.
every moment
Live in the moment
matters.
kind of bullshit, which is not a
I'll
bullshit.
remember that.
Good. So...
You need to embrace this moment. Right?
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of clueless, and it seems like they're not on the same level. Like, she knows a lot. You can tell by her posture, by her reaction. And he's kind of like, oh yeah, we're here, it's cool, like, yeah, let's have a chat. And she's like, there's something more deeper there's something more complex than what's happening.
I'm glad I met you, Cloud. I really am. I'm grateful for all the words we've shared, for all the moments and the memories. You've made me more happy than you know.
You've made me more happy than you know. At this point in time, they've known each other for what? A few days, maybe? I don't even think it's a day in the game time. So it's not like, oh, I met you for a day, you made me so happy, we've shared so much. No. That's not some bullshit, because this game is not bullshitting. They are the characters, how they react, how they are alive, makes it feels like this game is trying to not be like all butterflies and like people die and shit. So right now she's telling him what she has never told him because she died, and she tells him like, thank you so much. And it's tough. It's for me it's emotional to talk about it, because when I first played Final Fantasy VII, I think I'm 28 now, and I think I was maybe, I think I was like 10 or something. But when she died, wow, I was crying, man. I was really heartbroken. I was devastated. I didn't expect her to die, and I liked her a lot more than Tifa, to be honest. I thought she was just awesome. And you play with her, and then she dies, and it just breaks your heart. And I don't know, I'm still grieving to this day. It's dumb to say because it's not the real world, right? It's a video game. But at this time, you know, being a kind of introverted kid and being most of the time playing video games, yeah, her dying was like really tough. And when she said like, you've made me more happy than you know, I guess it's hard to say like, was she in love? For sure, Cloud from Final Fantasy VII was in love. The original one, he was in love with Aerith. Didn't give a crap about Tifa. He was very, very much in love with Aerith, for sure. Probably because there was this weird construction with him absorbing the personality of Zack, and Zack talked to Cloud about Aerith. So when he saw Aerith, he was like, oh yeah, I'm in love with that woman. She's the woman of my life, you know?
And I'll always cherish what you've given me.
I've always cherished what you've given me.
But whatever happens, you can't fall in love with me.
You can't fall in love with me. Why would she say that? Why would she say that you can't fall in love with me? At this moment in time, when they've been knowing each other for a day or something like that. Then he's like, fuck, I'm already in love with you. Fuck me, you know? And she's kind of...
Even if you think you have, it's not real.
Okay, I don't really understand this one. Even if you think you have, it's not real. It's not real probably because of what I said earlier, you know, because Cloud think is Zack and stuff like that. So he's not really in love with Aerith. But what does it mean to really be in love with someone? That's another question, very complex question. I'll let you guys decide in the comment section below. And there you go. You see that? She is not a material person. She's not like the other character or the Aerith that's in the Shinra building at this moment. She is some sort of projection from the live stream, and she is the Aerith from the future. For me, it's clear. There is no like super pinpointed evidence that she says that, but it's her from the future, and she's coming back to Cloud to tell her one last time, thank you so much. You've given me so much. I'm so happy that I've been able to meet you and kind of relive some sort of romance through you, with you, because you remind me of Zack, but we can be in love. This is not the right path. I'm gonna die because I think at this moment she knows she's gonna die, and she thinks she's gonna die, but she's probably not gonna die because they changed the timeline. So maybe someone else gonna die. Tifa maybe, that'll be super like ballsy to kill Tifa, because right now it's clear that Tifa is gonna be Cloud's lover. But yeah.
Do I get a say in all this?
It's almost morning. Time to go.
I'm coming for you.
If that's what you want. Thank you.
If that's what you want, thank you. So she's not asking anything of him. It reminds me a lot of a personal situation where I was very, very much in love with the girl, and she was like everything to me. She meant the world. She was more important than myself, which should never be. You should never put any woman more than yourself. Never. That's the best recipe for depression, unhappiness, unbalance, ungroundedness. Okay, but you know, when you're 20, whatever, your emotions are all over the place. So she basically tells him that basically she's not here for anything. She has done her job. She came back to the past. She's changing the future. She knows everything is in place. This moment right now, it's the last moment of rest they're gonna have before everything. Like, they're gonna travel, they're gonna go to Camptown, then they're gonna fight this big snake, then they're gonna go back to Nibelheim, and it's gonna be like a shit mess, and there's a lot that's gonna happen. Then she's maybe gonna die, but yeah, that's my explanation, guys. I hope it makes sense. I really do. Basically, in in my theory is that this Aerith that we see, she's coming back to tell Cloud not to fall in love with her because first of all, he's not in love with. It's not real that he's not in love with her, because he's in love with her because he thinks he's Zack, and Zack was in love with Aerith. So in his mind, he's like, oh, that's Aerith, that's the girl I love. But that shouldn't be. He doesn't love her for what she is. He doesn't love her for the moment he shared with her. He loves her because he thinks he is someone that he's not. And it's just heartbreaking when she comes and she says, thank you for all the words we've shared. You've made me more happy than you know. And that's something she wasn't able to tell her because she died. And she finally can come back and tell him, thank you. Yep. Let me know if anyone has a better theory. I'll be happy to hear it. Thank you so much for watching.